Hey guys, Sean Madavi here with Realbees.com, and I've got another special presentation for you today. Today I'm going to introduce a good buddy of mine. His name is Mr. Frank Patrick. Frank has been in the REO business for over 15 years. He's closed over 1,500 REO transactions from REO asset and management companies like Citi Mortgage, Fannie Mae, US Bank, and dozens of others you would recognize. Frank's production grew over 200 transactions a year when he had a little bit of a problem. Actually, it wasn't a problem. It was a good thing. Agents from all over the U.S. were reaching out to him, asking him what he's doing in his REO business, but they didn't really actually know where to start. So at that point, what he did is he started coaching and consulting a lot of agents all through the U.S. about how to build a successful REO business and BPO business. Things have changed, though. Things have changed over the past few years. The last time I interviewed Frank was back in 2012, and so I wanted to bring him back. It's 2015, it's a new year, and we're talking specifically about HUD REOs, why you can break into this business. Did you know that HUD is the largest single seller of real estate in the U.S., and that the number of HUD REO listings increased at over 18% in the last year? Anybody can get into the business. You don't have to spend a lot of money in doing it. Actually, you can get people to use. You can use other people's money to do it. So it's pretty cool. But I want to talk to you specifically today. I'm interviewing Frank. We're going to talk about how you can claim your piece of the pie. So with that said, enjoy the interview with Frank Patrick, the REO rock star. What's going on, Frank? I'm glad to have you back on today, man.
It's good to see you again. It's been a long time.
I know it has been a long time. The last time we did our interview was August 18th, 2012. And we were talking about having a profitable BPO and REO business. We're actually going to be doing a special presentation later this week, or actually next week. And I wanted to get you on so we can do a refresher, because there's a lot of stuff that's changed over the past 3 years in just real estate in general, but specifically REOs and BPOs and things of that nature. Now we're not going to really touch on BPOs today. But really what we're going to talk about today is how to get HUD REO listings. And so just do us a real quick favor, and I'm going to post I'll put a link to the previous video in this post, but I want people to realize what's happened since 2012 in the business. Kind of enlighten us a little bit what's happened.
Well, there's been a significant shift. I mean, obviously the market has gotten better. The number of REO properties and the number of foreclosures has gone down significantly, but we're still double the volume of what would be considered a normal, healthy market. And so there's still an incredible opportunity for agents to list and sell REO properties. The big change has been how the REO properties are distributed or where they come from. And so my clients today are all different than they were 3 years ago, last time we spoke. In fact, the sweet spot in the market right now, the big opportunity that most agents don't know about, is listing HUD REO properties. Now, up until 2010, HUD REO properties were listed by 1 or 2 master brokers in each state. And so the opportunity really wasn't available for the average agent. Unfortunately, for many years it was kind of the good old boy club. And that all changed back in 2010 when HUD announced significant changes to how they were going to handle the management, the maintenance, and the sale of their REO properties nationwide. Basically what they did is they awarded contracts through the government contracting process, which is too lengthy to explain here, but what they did is they hired 26 asset management companies located across the United States, gave them each geographic territory, so they got a state or 2, and they require them to hire local agents to list and sell all of the properties. So no longer was it possible for one person to get all of the listings in a state or even 2 states as it had been before. And this really opened up the opportunity, and hundreds of agents that knew about it got in. Well, this last year, those contracts reached their ceiling or their limit, and HUD rebid again. And so it basically is every 5 years or sooner, depending on the volume, HUD has to go through the rebid process and award all new contracts to asset management companies. And when these asset management companies win a new HUD contract, they have to recruit a significant number of agents to list and sell the properties in a short period of time, and then take over that particular geographic area. Now, this last go around, this last bidding, excuse me, HUD made a significant change. They're only going to allow one asset management company to have a particular state. So in the past, there might be as many as 3 asset management companies awarded a state like Florida. And so an agent would have the chance to get HUD REO listings from 3 different companies. This time around, there's only going to be 1 per state. The hidden opportunity here is that 1 per state means that particular company is going to have to recruit and train a whole lot of HUD listing agents in a short period of time in order to take over the business. If you go back to 2007 and look at the number of properties that the FHA insured, it was about 5 to 6% of the total marketplace. And when the big housing crisis came and our government intervened to try to stabilize the market and encourage people to buy homes, they ratcheted up significantly the percentage of mortgages that the FHA was going to insure. In fact, it went as high as in 2011, they insured almost 30% of all the mortgages made in the United States. So it went from 5% to 30%, 6 times the volume. And now they've started to ratchet it back down a little bit now that they've stabilized the market. But right now, FHA mortgages represent about 25% of all home loans. And of course, most people know an FHA mortgage that defaults becomes a HUD REO property. And so we're looking at potentially 6 times the volume of FHA defaults, now HUD REO properties, hitting the market over the coming years. And it doesn't look like it's going to change. I mean, there's always factors outside of the marketplace that cause foreclosures. There always have been. Even before the foreclosure crisis, my team and I were closing over 100 REO transactions a year. And then of course we had the big bust, and we jumped up to 200, 250 transactions a year. And now we've gone back down. We're right on track to do around 100, 120 properties a year, which is still a significant number and definitely enough, to support my lifestyle. But that's really what's changed. Right now, for a new agent trying to break into the REO business, the best place to go first is HUD.
That's good. And so what you're basically saying is REOs are not dead.
No, actually, contrary to what you read in the newspaper, I mean, things are not all better, okay? And real estate is a local business, so what's going on in Blue Springs, Missouri is slightly different than what's going on in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's different from what's going on in Texas. But the fact of the matter remains that we still have over double the number of foreclosures, double the amount of REO inventory than we should have in a normal, healthy marketplace. And it looks like that's going to continue at least for the next few years until the economy and the jobs really come back.
Yeah, I was reading an article this morning. It says that the title is "Foreclosure Inventory Down Despite Rise in Starts." So, it says despite a 5.5% month-over-month increase in foreclosure starts, it's down. So does that mean that it's actually going to pick up again, or is this really kind of an up and down type deal? Like, kind of explain that, because there's a lot of agents that I talk to there, they're just so afraid of even dealing with it because they don't know. And that's why I like having you on, because I really consider you our resident REO expert here at Realby. So, educate the agent that's thinking about well, could I even get started in this type of field or this specific niche in real estate? Calm the nerves a little bit for them, Frank.
Sure. Well, today it's even easier to get into the REO business and a much less of an investment. There are REO sellers that have very few or almost zero inventory. Take for example Wells Fargo, the big asset management company, Premier Asset Services. 7 or 8 years ago, some of my coaching members were selling 100 properties a year for PAS. Today they'd be lucky to get 4 or 5. However, 5 years ago they were getting 0 from HUD, and today they're getting 10, 15 a month. And so where the properties originate from has shifted. The volume has subsided, okay, so that we're seeing fewer properties And one of the things that is confusing is that the properties that we're listing are selling right away. And so if you just look in the MLS and you look up your own city and you say, wow, there's only 40 REOs in my city, that doesn't really give you a true picture. What you need to look at is how many REOs sold and closed in the last 60 days in your area. Because in most parts of the country, we're selling them as fast as we're listing them. They're not sitting on the market and accruing days on market like they used to. Cash buyers, first-time buyers, they recognize that REO properties are considered lower than market value. So it's even in a market where you're not seeing large increases in property values, it's hard to go wrong. It's really hard to lose money if you buy at the bottom of the market. But one of the benefits or the huge advantages of listing HUD properties is HUD no longer requires the agents to pay any money out of pocket. They have their own asset management company that handles the sale of the property through agents, and they have their own property preservation companies that handle the repair and the maintenance of the properties. So the agents are no longer responsible for fixing up the properties. They're all vacant when you receive them. They've all been brought up to a standard of condition called conveyance condition. They've all had a property inspection that's available to the potential buyer, and they've all had an FHA appraisal, so we know exactly what they're worth. And the agents aren't even responsible for utilities. So there's $0 out of pocket. The agents are required to go out, take pictures of the property, fill out an online report about the property, what they visually see, information about the local marketplace and comps. But in most cases, they don't even do a BPO.
Yeah.
Because they've already done the appraisal. There's really no need for a BPO, as the value of the property has been established by an FHA appraisal.
Well, that was going to lead to my next question was, is there an out-of-pocket expense? Is this like a whole new strategy of going in like all these dollars and all this time invested? Which
really.
Okay, good. It's not going to break the bank.
Yeah, they don't require any special. They don't require any prior experience. They don't require any specialized training. They don't require any additional insurance above and beyond what most of us already have in our brokerage. There's no requirement to have reserves in the bank because you're not going to spend a penny out of pocket. They pay a full 3% listing commission on every property. So and the agents are not required to pay a referral fee. A lot of REO sellers pay the agents 2.5% to list and offer 2.5% to the buyer's agent. And then from the listing agent side, they take 25% of their gross commission. So it works out that most REO agents are working for about a 1.5%, and they're paying expenses out of pocket, paying for utilities, paying for repairs, paying for cleanouts and evictions. None of that with HUD. That's why it's my new favorite REO customer for the last 4.5 years.
Wow. So that was good. That was, so that leads into this other question. So let's say I'm an agent. I'm doing, I don't want to pick on the average agent that does 6 transactions a year. We got a lot above average people that are going to be watching this video. So let's say we're doing 20, 25, 30 transactions a year, regular traditional real estate, and I want to start going after some HUD REO listings. Let's kind of break down on average what you're seeing in the market, like some of your students are doing. How much? I don't want to lay any income claims now. These are just kind of averages that we're throwing out here. But what can an average agent expect if they're doing 10 additional HUD listings per year, or 5, or what? I don't know. Just throw something out there.
Well, and this is a case by case basis because you have 26 asset management companies that have all contracted with HUD to sell their properties. Those 26 asset management companies they're hiring their own agents. Okay, so they have to follow certain guidelines, like they can't make the agent pay any money out of pocket for repairs or anything like that. They can't take a referral fee. They have to pay 3%. So there's certain standards that HUD sets, and then each asset management company can set some of its own standards. And I can tell you from experience that most of them do not want to work with someone who is part-time. Okay, they want full-time agents that are dedicated to their business, that are available from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. They want agents that are serious about their business. However, there are agents in my coaching group that are doing 1 transaction a month for HUD, and there are others that are doing 15. And part of that is dependent upon where you live and what the volume is. Part of it is dependent upon your performance, and part of it is dependent upon what your desires are. And that's really built in the relationship between you and the asset management company. But I can tell you that most are going to start out with giving you 1 property, waiting to see how you handle the transaction. When you sell it, they give you 1 more. And so it's a slow build-up of trust over time. And so I'd say, a first-year HUD REO agent would expect to get between 6 and 10 listings in their first year. And the second year would really be up to the agent and their performance. Not uncommon to do 1 a week. Not uncommon at all.
So what's the average commission look like on a HUD listing versus a traditional listing? Like I know you said there's some differences in commissions. Like what are the breakdowns?
It's all over the board because
okay.
It's your sales price. Well, look, just the mortgage amount depends upon where you're at geographically, right? So if you're in Kansas City, for a long time, the FHA loan limits were $170,000. And then they went up into the 250s. Now they're back down around 2.25. Some places in Southern California, one of my coaching members recently sold a HUD property for $800,000.
Wow.
So that commission was over $24,000 to the listing agent.
Nice.
Yeah. In my area, most of the HUD properties are right around $100,000 to $120,000. So you're looking at $3,000 to $36,000 or to $3,600 in commission. If I sold 10 HUD properties, I'm looking at an additional $36,000 in revenue for my office.
Wow.
But that doesn't include the buyers that you draw. I mean, really, if you're doing your job, you should get 2 buyers for every 1 listing that you have.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much standard, right?
Right. So if you pick up an REO client like HUD and you get 12 HUD listings a year, you should close those 12, plus you should close another 24 buyer transactions. So you're looking at a total value of 36 transactions for the year. You could make a career out of that.
All right. So I know there's an agent right now, or maybe a few that are going, whoa, hold up, guys. I have no experience whatsoever. I've never sold an REO property. I don't even know what BPO stands for. Like, how can I even get into this? And I'll speak firsthand to that, because when I got my real estate license, and I started with Keller Williams, and I'm not going to name which office it was, but it was it was kind of embarrassing that how much. And this is no knock on Keller Williams. I know they got great training, but when it really came down to like having someone help me do what it is that I needed to do as far as all the paperwork goes, like it was kind of like it was really numbing, mind numbing to me. So here I am, and I'm an agent, and it took me this long to learn how to sell traditional real estate. Like, do I have to what do I have to know? Do I have to be experienced? Like, kind of talk to that a little bit.
You're really not required to have any prior experience. You have to have an active license. You can be an agent or a broker. You're required to have general liability insurance, errors and omissions insurance, but that's all stuff that your real estate brokerage is carrying on your behalf. In regards to training, as soon as you're accepted by the asset management company that has the contract for your state, they provide a training program for you. They provide an operations manual. It's really the big difference between selling a listing and selling a HUD REO property and selling a property for an individual is that you have an educated seller.
Yeah.
Right? So the individual sells a house every 6 to 10 years. The asset management company that you'll be working with sells one every minute. And so they're a more educated seller. They're going to lead you through the process. Everything's web-based. And you have to be good at meeting deadlines, basically, Sean. Yeah. So you get the HUD REO listing. They use their own listing contract. They don't use your contract. with a board contract. I mean, HUD is actually, right, they're a government entity, so whatever HUD wants to do is above and beyond whatever the National Association of Realtors or your local MLS want to do. Yeah. And they have different rules. But they'll send over the listing agreement. They'll send you the property. The property's already going to be vacant. It's already cleaned out. It's already ready to go. They're going to tell you to go out and inspect the property. And so, and this is not an inspection like you'd hire a home inspector for. This is, you drive over. How does it look from the outside? You take some pictures. How does it look from the inside? Do you notice anything missing or broken because they want to get it fixed? And you'll enter all that data online. Yeah. And then their web-based transaction management platform is going to tell you what to do every day to complete the process. Where a homeowner is hiring you and they expect you to know what to do next. HUD hires you because they can't get out in the field for every property. They're going to tell you what to do next. You just turn on your computer every morning. It tells you what task you need to do. You know, put the sign up, put the lockbox on, call the preservation company and order lawn service if it's needed. They're going to trigger you to do all of the tasks that are necessary. And here's the really cool thing we haven't talked about is that HUD is the only seller that negotiates the offers directly with the buyer's agents. So when an offer comes in on the property, it doesn't come to you, the listing agent. The buyer's agents go online to HUD's website and they enter their buyer's offer online. And then the negotiations begin. You're kept in the loop. When a contract or offer has been accepted, the listing agent will deliver a copy to you and also upload a copy directly to HUD. So it's one of the best parts.
Wow, you don't have to negotiate?
No, and listen, this may seem like
it almost sounds like unicorns and like fairy dust over here, man. I don't know.
This is a whole lot different than Fannie Mae, because when I get a Fannie Mae property, oftentimes they're priced at the low end of what we would consider market condition, and we might get 30 offers.
Yeah.
And guess who has to deal with all 30 of those offers? The 30 agents. I got to send out highest and best letters. Somebody always gets upset because they think that their offer, didn't get the same attention that the winning offer got. There's accusations that maybe your buyer bought the property. HUD has removed all of that. The buyer's agents all upload their own offers, negotiate directly with the asset management company. When an offer is accepted, they say, "Congratulations, Sean, your property's under contract. Change it in the MLS." How awesome is that? And you still get paid the full 3% listing agent commission, even though you didn't have to pay to mow the grass, you didn't have to negotiate the contract. I mean, it's the best kept secret in real estate right now.
That's awesome. So two more questions. The last one was, well, the second to the last is BPOs. I mean, we talked about, I remember back in 2012, it was kind of like a big part of your training is like teaching agents how to go out and really start a BPO business, which was great. I mean, it was good money with it, and it led into a lot of opportunities. Do agents, before they can go out and get HUD REO listings, do they have to be proficient in getting BPOs? They have to have a substantial BPO business already?
No.
Talk about that a little bit.
No, in fact, BPOs are done to establish the fair market value of a property, right? So most, all REO sellers except for HUD will send 3 agents out and do a BPO on a property, and then they'll take those 3 BPOs and use them to determine what they're going to ask for the property, and then they'll typically hire one of those agents to list it and sell it. With the HUD REO properties, it's a completely different process. Because HUD is a federal entity, they send an appraiser out first, appraise the property. They send a property inspector out and do a property inspection, and then that's how they price the property. The only reason they need you and I is because they need somebody that's local that can keep an eye on the property, put it in the MLS, put a lockbox on it,
show it,
yeah, and help buyer's agents. Because the sales process for HUD is different than any other seller. And they have to be, because HUD is the largest seller of real estate in the United States. Most people don't even know that. #1 seller. They sell more properties than any bank lender, builder, individual, investor, period. They sell more properties than anyone. They're the biggest client. And so they have to streamline their processes. And part of that is their web-based offer process. Mm-hmm. And so really what they're looking for you to do is to be their eyes and ears in the neighborhood, right? You're the local expert. They have the appraisal, so they know what it's theoretically worth, but they need you to show the property, make sure it's not getting vandalized. And the biggest thing that you'll be asked to do is to help other agents submit their offer. Because you mentioned it earlier, the average agent sells like 6 houses a year and then they leave the business, right? After 2 years. So unfortunately, they don't have a lot of experience, so they don't know how to present the offer to HUD. And they're on their own to do it. You can't do it for them. So most of the asset management companies are looking at you to be the trainer.
Yeah.
So when another agent from another office goes out and shows your HUD property, they call you and they say, hey, Sean, we're going to be sending an offer over. And you're going to say, well, hold up. Actually, don't send it to me. You're going to present it online. Do you know about HUD Home Store? No, never heard of it. Okay, get a PIN. Here's what you're going to need to do. They have to get a NAID number, which is a federal ID number. They have to have their broker set up a profile on HUD Home Store. Then they set up a profile on HUD Home Store, and then they submit the offer online. And most of them, you lost them at, do you have a NAID number?
Yeah.
And so this is your real value or your real worth to HUD, is helping coach that agent who may have never sold a house before, certainly never sold a HUD house before, get their documents in order and submit it online. And just the way the business works, you'll probably end up helping 9 out of 10 agents when they want to submit an offer. In fact, many of the successful HUD REO agents, and a lot of them that are in my coaching group, they've taken the documents and the training that HUD provides them, turn it into their own little training webinar. And when an agent calls them and says, hey, I'm sending over an offer, they'll give me your email address. I'm going to send you a little video that walks you through the process.
That's perfect. That's called automation right there.
Yeah. You do. I think they figured it out after they helped 9 agents submit an offer. Yeah. They're like, with this, let's just film a little video to show them how to do it.
Right.
Send it to everybody, and then we'll help the ones that still need help. And so that's the biggest responsibility. That's the one thing that HUD can't do without you, is to help agents who are inexperienced submit their offers online, so their buyers, their clients, have a fair chance of winning the property.
That's good. That's good. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to mention right now that next week, I already did at the beginning, but next week, here's what I just want you to do. We're going to do a training together. You and I are going to do a training together, and you're going to break this down even further. It's how to get HUD REO listings. I love the title. This is very simple. How to get HUD REO listings. And again, you don't have to have any prior experience. On this webinar, you're going to break down basically an over-the-shoulder look in how you're doing it, and probably some case studies of how some of your clients are doing it as well, which is what I really like. I like it when we've always had really successful webinars in the past, and I know a lot's changed, so I know all the content's brand new. But I really like the way that you do your webinars, Frank, because this is something that you do in your business. So this isn't like theoretical. Some of your credentials, and you've heard in the earlier in the bio, really will state to the fact that this is real world experience stuff, and you're teaching other people how to do it. So we're going to do that. So there's a link on this video right now, guys. I want you to go ahead and click on that link and register for this webinar that Frank and I are going to be doing together, sponsored by realbees.com. And I just want to just kind of end it up with, what is the best way to get started other than registering for the webinar, because I think that's going to be important, because you're really going to break it down. We're really going to go micro into it. But other than just taking action, what is the best way to get started in this business? Like what you're talking about with these HUD REOs. I've been in the business since 2000, and when I got in, I had a similar experience to yours,
where the brokerage that I joined didn't provide a lot of direction. And they gave me a desk and some business cards, and they said, find out who the successful people, who they are here in the office, and follow them around. And so that's what I did. I identified who all the successful agents were, and I interviewed them. It cost me lunch, but I interviewed 6 agents in my office. Unfortunately, none of them knew what it was that had contributed to their success, because it happened for them over the course of 15 or 25 years. And that wasn't going to work for me. I had enough money saved for 3 months. And so I knew that, I was not going to be able to take the path that the other successful agents in my office had taken. And so I decided that for me, being brand new and unable to compete with these folks that had years of experience, that I wasn't going to go, to the big lake, right, and stand toe to toe with them and try to catch the fish, because they were much more intelligent than me, had a lot more experience. And so I decided to go to the small pond, and where there was less competition. I wanted to make sure there were fish in the pond, but I wanted to go to the pond where only 1 or 2 people were fishing. And so I searched out niche markets, or niche markets, depending on what part of the country you're from. And for me, it was REO. REO, and I've got one other one that we're not going to talk about. I'll save that for another time, because I couldn't compete with the big agents. It's usually 1 or 2 big agents that control your neighborhood, right? And they've been there for 20 years, so it's really hard to break in. So I like to go to emerging markets or niche markets where there's less competition, where fewer people know about the opportunity, and then get in there, attempt to get in there. But like I said, that obviously you got to have listings if you want to last in this business. And what's better than a steady stream of listings from one client? I have one client that I've been listing properties for 14 years. I went on 1 listing presentation, and I've listed properties for them for 14 years, to the tune of about 40 or 50 properties a year. When you do the math, that's over 600 properties, 1 listing presentation. That's a whole lot better than going on a listing presentation every night to get 3 or 4 listings a month. And so when you look at the highest and best use of your time, oftentimes as agents we go for what's easy and immediate, right? You get a buyer, that's easy. Immediate, because they're probably going to purchase a property in 3 weeks. The bad news is that's the last one they're going to purchase for 6 years. So you're continually on this treadmill of find another buyer, show them properties, get paid, do it all over again. That's great, and everybody needs to do that. But I also want you to look at what are the long term, what's best for my business. And if you can get some source of sustainable listings and build a relationship and get those listings every week, every month, every year for 15 years, that builds a real estate career. For me, the big opportunity right now, as I see it, for a new agent trying to solidify their place in the business, they want to be in this business for the next 10 or 15 years. You want to take a percentage of your time, maybe 10 to 15% of your time, and look for that sustainable source of business, work towards that goal. If it's REO, I can help you do that. I've done it myself for the last 14 years. I've coached a small group of real estate agents and brokers all across the United States. These are folks that are doing between 100 to 400 REO transactions a year. So I know what's working in different parts of the country. And I've taken that knowledge and I've helped hundreds of other agents just like you get started all across the United States.
Awesome. Man, I love it. I love it. I'm looking forward to our webinar. We always have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, gotta have a good time while you're working, man.
Yeah, and I'm going to show before and after photos on this video. Go ahead and do a sideways shot. Show us the...
I might have to get a haircut.
There we go. No, don't get a haircut. You're like Samson. You got your strength in your hair. Awesome. Well, Frank, man, I really appreciate you coming today. I really appreciate you spending time with the agents here at realbees.com. Guys, go ahead and click on. I hope this has been a help. I think it has been. I mean, we always get some positive reviews. I mean, our last video, we had a few people going in and saying they're excited to see the webinar. They're excited to learn more about REOs. So do us a huge favor. If you learned something today, if you got some value from this, make some comments below. Share this with your friends. family members, coworkers, anyone in real estate that needs to know about REOs and specifically HUD REOs. Also, make sure you register for this webinar. It's going to be really special. We're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot of information. Again, Frank, I appreciate your time. And as always, have an awesome day, my friend.
All right, buddy. Good to see you. Take care.